All right, what's going on, Cody? Hey, listen, I'm just going to make you a second video here, like a part two to the other one I sent, and hopefully I can just kind of be a little more specific, dive into some things a little deeper, and then also hopefully answer some of the questions that you had since the previous information that I sent over to you. So cool, man. I won't go into a lengthy intro or anything there. There's my business card. There's my information, and that's all it really needs to be said about that. So I do want to say that there's kind of three main points that I'm gonna try to tackle in this video. I'm gonna keep the video short, definitely under 15 minutes again. But the three main things I want to tackle is kind of the keyword research, the process that goes into finding the key words that people are searching for in Google. It's extremely important, and it'll kind of answer some of the questions you were asking me about, tags and keywords and search terms and those things. So I'm going to dive into that. Show you how I go about researching that and finding those, and knowing for sure we're not shooting in the dark here. We know for sure people are searching for these terms, and all those things, because we don't shoot in the dark, man. We know we do research and we figure out what's going on out there on the internet, and we get in front of them. So the second thing I want to do is kind of determine, well, who's your competition online? Who's the competition in your local market? When people are searching for the terms, who's popping up already? Who do we got to beat to get up on the first pages of Google and in those map packs? And I'll show you all that in just a second. And not only do we want to know who they are, but we want to dissect that competition, of course. So I'll kind of show you how I go behind the scenes, how I pick these guys out that are already kind of showing up for the key terms that you want to show up for. We figure out what they're doing, and then we just kind of beat them. That's as simple as that. And then thirdly, man, I'll show you some of the results that I've gotten on some projects that I've already been working on. Kind of show you some proof or some results or however you say that, and then kind of we'll go from there. And that'll probably be my time for today. But so that's enough of that. And let me go ahead and launch into that. We're going to go right into the keyword research and kind of where I start and how I do that. So the first thing I do is say, well, what's local to you? Where are you at? Where are you trying to drive people to? And how far? What's your radius? What's local? What areas are we targeting? I'm a local SEO strategist and a specialist, and so I do things a little bit different than the dozens of people that do similar things. And I'll kind of show you how I do it, what makes me a little different. But the first thing, one of the main things is that I target local areas. The first tendency I think is to go into Houston, man, because there's 2 million people there, probably 3 million now, because this is old numbers. And man, let's get in front of 3 million people. When people search for Houston special auto loans or special auto finance, and when people search for that and they're in Houston, well, yeah, people are searching for that, and yeah, there's also tons of competition. The competition is tougher. Now it's not that we can't break into that, but I like to produce results early and sort of kind of get things going first, and then we can talk about breaking in the tougher markets. But how I'm different is that I can kind of get results earlier based on how I do things, because I like to go after the low-hanging fruit, as I like to say. And so what that means basically is, instead of tackling Houston, hey, let's dive into the Houston market, which is definitely in your radius, your zone of places you want to target, and we will still get leads out of Houston, trust me. But as far as online, how you target, how you get those leads in the least with the least resistance or the least competition, is just to kind of hey, let's hit the suburbs and the surrounding areas where people live. But nobody's going to think, hey, let me build a whole website around Manville, car, special financing in Manville. So we're not going to build a website around Manville. We're going to build a website around one of these larger cities, and then boom, blanket all the little crevices in between. You know what I mean? So like Santa Fe and even Alvin and Manville and those little bitty things. Even areas within Houston we can target. So there's a lot of research that goes into that, and but this is just a brief overview of kind of where I come up with that information. And I don't use Wikipedia as my source, by the way. I just do this for kind of to show you a little easier. But basically, we're looking for a target of between 50,000, give or take, somewhere in 300,000 population. That's just kind of a little sweet spot as far as population goes. There's usually not a lot of competition, or not as much competition as if you're looking to dive into a market with 3 million people. So bam, that's kind of the first little bit of research that I do. And then of course the second thing I need to do is say, well, okay, well, what search terms am I going to be going after? What am I looking for? If I have no idea, I mean, we kind of have an idea for you guys of what you're trying to do, Cody, but with the special financing, auto loans, and things of that nature. And so, but if you didn't have a clue, you'd have to start somewhere, right? So this is kind of where, if you didn't know, this is where I would start. And so what I would just, this is Google, of course, and we're all familiar. We've all seen this. But if I was to start, typing in, like, for instance, special financing, Google gives me these suggestions. And like I say, I know you've seen these before, but Google's giving you these suggestions because this is what people are searching for. Special financing dealership, special financing company, all this stuff, some of the stuff you'd have never even thought of. So where I was just going to put special financing, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can still go there, but I can also tack on the word dealerships, and that's going to give me a whole nother, I'm going to get some more leads from people searching for that term as well. So another cool thing too is to scroll down there at the bottom. Bam, Google gives you a whole bunch more suggestions, keyword suggestions, stuff that probably I would not have thought of. Special financing Ford, Toyota. I mean, special financing auto loans, dealership with special financing for bad credit. Now, I would have never thought of that. Google saying, hey, but there's people start typing that into their browser. Okay, and another thing is too, Google is going to give you results based on the most credible, the best search results. When you search for something in Google, it's going to put the best websites for those search results in your face. And so, and that's the purpose of Google. Google's all about, what kind of content you have. Is your website basically about what people are searching for? I mean, you don't want a website that shows up about dog walking or something else if you're looking for special financing from a dealership or, to buy a car. So anyway, of course, that's pretty obvious information, but the idea is to give Google what it wants. We're kind of going into this game with this 2-ton gorilla of Google, and Google can be awesome to businesses and entrepreneurs and really bring in some serious leads and money and things like that if you can give Google what they want. So that's kind of what I do, is I figure out what does Google want, and I give Google what it wants, and we all benefit. So, but they also can, they can also hurt you too if you try to mess with them. So you got to give them what they want, and and do it in a way that they love what you're doing and you're getting results. But you don't want to try to be fancy with Google and try to be slick and sly. So anyway, that's called black hat marketing, and we don't mess with that. That's something. That's a whole nother something else. So anyway. So my main point about what Google does is nowadays, especially, you'll see a lot of people that will Google stuff like restaurants near me or something near me with the term near me in there. And Google, being as smart as it is, especially with their new local capacity and all their mobile, everybody's searching for stuff on mobile. And so especially with the Google platform on mobile devices, it's really geared towards giving you the most local results. So even if we had our website, CodyWest.com and it was based on special financing for autos, and people were, and we based that in Pasadena, Pearland, and Sugar Land, and all those surrounding bigger areas. Anybody in that area that even searched for one of our keywords and then just said near me, it's going to pop up. Just so you know. I mean, that's just Google being smart. So we're going to play the game with Google, and so what I do also is I can come over here. And I can we're going to just kind of, for the sake of this example, special financing dealerships, which I hope is a little bit closer than the example I used last time, with just, I think, used cars or something. But so this is just a little bit closer, I think, to maybe what you were doing. And so what I'll do is I'll put that term in here. And notice this is a Google platform, so Google is kind of runs this thing. So we're trusting Google. We're playing the game with Google. We're going to ask Google, well, hey, what are people looking for? So the first thing we're going to do is like, well, we're going to put, we're going to target this down. We don't want everybody in the world's information. We just want to kind of target this down. So the first thing you do, let me remove this and show you something here. So, we're going to just put Houston in because it's kind of the, obviously the biggest, the closest, largest city. And it gives me 2 results here in Texas, which is probably just the, metropolis or whatever. But this Nielsen DMA region, I just want to show you what that is real fast. This here is, this is for like advertising purposes, Nielsen stuff. But this is the Houston, Texas area, so it's basically the whole Gulf Coast area, pretty large area. So this is basically the area we're going to search in for these keywords and say, well, are people searching for what are people searching for in this specific Houston area? So let's get some ideas here on that. Special financing for dealerships, and we'll get some information here. Okay, cool. So here we go. first, let me scroll back up here just a second. So the first thing you got to notice is kind of like, well, is this a seasonal market? You know, I mean, you know your market better than me, of course. But like, I like this because it means it's not a seasonal at all. It's, you know, it's evergreen. It's all year long. People are buying cars all year long. So obviously, you know, we're getting stuff financed and stuff all year long. So we got no problems there. And that's kind of where we start. We see, well, average monthly searches. Now these numbers aren't accurate. I actually like do a times 10 on these numbers just because I think that's more accurate. I don't know where Google gets this stuff, but this is a free tool. And these things are certainly not any kind of accurate. All I use it for is to get a gauge. So if Google's saying that 10 people in a month are searching for special financing dealerships, and it's saying 1,600 are using car loan as a term, or auto finance as a car, you know, 480 for auto finance, which is 50 times higher than people searching for that. You know, I mean, so that's kind of how you gauge. So we can figure out, and there's a lot more that goes into these keyword researches. I mean, like I say, this is a free tool, just to kind of give you an idea, but I do have some pretty fancy stuff, you know, just my own softwares and things that I can use to dig into this so much deeper and be damn specific and damn sure, you know, about these words before I just go in and start trying to build a website around them. And I'll show you some proof and results there here in just a minute too. So, you know, we're just going to kind of continue with the special financing dealerships. And what I'm going to do is when I put this into Google this time, special financing dealerships, I'm going to put in, you know, like one of our major cities that we kind of came up with and over here. And I'm just going to use the Pearland example again, just because I know there's over 100,000 people there, and that we know some people are searching. We know some people are searching for special financing dealerships. So this will get us anybody in Pearland searches for that, and they even say near me. Well, then we should pop up. Okay, so let's take a look at Google real fast as we put in that keyword. Special financing dealerships, Pearland. Now that's just, of course, one keyword that we would target in your campaign or in your strategy. You know, we would shoot for every one of those cities, big and small, with a special emphasis on the bigger ones, and even, you know, put some fishing line out there into Houston too, man. I mean, for sure. So we're just not going to put all our energy into trying to beat that big Houston word. Okay, we're not going to compete with people that are searching for the word Houston. We're still going to get those people, but we're going to get them when they search for, you know, the smaller keyword search terms. So anyway, so back to Google real fast. Let me show you some stuff about Google. What we got here is the paid ads. We can run campaigns with that. Very quick results with that because they pop up at the top of Google for whatever we're searching for. Right here, we got this new thing that Google's been doing for a year or two now. This changes the way it looks at times, but this is a map pack, a 3-pack, and I can definitely get you in here. And I just got one of my sites in there, so I'll show you that in a second. And then down here, we've got basically the organic results. So of course, the first thing I noticed is that Premier Motors, Strickland Chevrolet, and Gates Used Cars are the top 3 popping up in there. And so those are going to be sort of our competition. And we're going to look down here and see where this is the organic results. You don't have to pay to be here or anything. But there is that's what I do is I would go in and I would get, you know, content and backlinks and things of that nature to kind of get Google, basically, again, giving Google what it wants, and Google will push your website up in these organic results. But this right here is what makes me a little different because I can get you in here pretty fast. And I'll go ahead and show you that in just a second because I'm going to run out of time again. But this is, actually, I may just go ahead and shoot you a second part to this video, or I guess that'd be a third part. Because I really want to continue. I really want to lay the rest of this information out for you. So let me just stop this video right here for you, man, and I'll pick back up again in just a second, or I'll shoot you a second part and shoot it over to you, so you'll have 2. All right, thanks, man.